Hello and welcome to the Rock Your Voice podcast. Vocal coaching tips that will transform your voice, interviews that will inspire, industry guidance, and so much more. Without further ado, let's get on with the show. Hello and welcome to the Rock Your Voice podcast. I'm so excited. This is the very first episode. Thank you so much for joining me. Every week we're going to be sharing motivational tips. We're going to have technique, vocal stories, and also guests and specialists in the industry. So that could be musicians, that could be vocal coaches, audio producers, anyone with anything to do with the industry and how it connects to singing. So my name's Emma Harding and I am a singer. I'm originally from London, England. I've been living in Calgary, Canada for almost 20 years now and I absolutely love it. Canada is totally my home now. And I have my own vocal studio here where I teach singing to all different types of people. I have various students at various levels and in very different age groups and I absolutely love it. My passion is sharing my knowledge of singing and helping people find their voice and bring out the best that they can in their sound. I love every day here at the studio and I figured why not share some of that with everyone on a podcast? So I wanted to start this with a bit of background of where I came from and what brought me to this place right here, right now, sitting behind my mic, trying to figure out how to do this thing. So I, like I said, was born in the UK. I didn't grow up in London, but a place called Ascot, which is, yes, the same place where they have the horse racing and the women wear the silly hats. So I was born in Ascot and grew up in a really small village called Sunningdale. And my father and my mother owned a ridiculously huge house. And it was absolutely terrifying. It was hundreds of years old. It was a Georgian mansion, and my father converted it into a recording studio. So he had recording artists of all different types coming and going and recording all the time. So music to me was everywhere. It was a huge part of my life from the moment I was born. My first word was Mick Mick. It was me yelling from the back of the car for my mum to make the Mick Mick happen in the car radio. So yeah, my first obsession in life was Mick Mick and has always been. So grew up surrounded by music of a really, I'd say, kind of a high caliber. So it was really great seeing musicians recording in the studio and getting used to like that environment, which is wild and crazy at times and so much fun. So that's where I grew up and where I was first exposed to music. And then as I got a bit older, my parents, they split up and because the house was so big, now this is ridiculous, they decided, you know what, why move? The house is so huge. Let's put a brick wall down the middle of it. So yeah, there was a few years there where I lived in a house with a brick wall down the middle of it and two parents that refused to talk to each other. So that was quite an interesting experience. But then finally, we moved to London. It was my mum, my brother, and my sisters. And we moved to a place called St. Margaret's just outside of London. And it was absolutely lovely. And I started at a really great school that was quite interesting. It was not, at the time, it was not see, this is a really good example of that school right now. It was not based highly on grades and academia. It was all very much creativity and learning through play. It was the Froebel Institute, which was all about learning through experience and learning through play. So for a creative kid who hated things like math and science, this was heaven for me. And weirdly enough, a lot of children who are very similar are also children of musicians. So I got to meet some really cool people growing up there. There were, children who were spawn of the Rolling Stones and The Who and Pink Floyd. People like that the children were there being creative and not worrying too much about grades. The school has since changed dramatically. It's a very posh school now that's very much grades driven. So I would never have a hope in hell of getting into that school now, but thank you for the experience, Ibstock Place. It was a great time, and I met so many incredible friends there who I'm still friends with to this day. So they're creative, drive really started me off with singing and performing and writing and just digging into music without judgment and just a ton of support. There was a point there where I was enrolled into learning the Royal School of Music curriculum, which drove me absolutely insane. I felt it really constricted my creativity because I had to deliver certain results at the end of every week, and I hated having to learn stuff that I didn't feel an emotional connection to. So I really started to develop my own writing style, my own singing style. And at that time, yes, I'm quite old. I'm not quite old. I'm 40. So when I was in school, there wasn't YouTube. There weren't all of these different areas to go and Google how your favorite singers do what they do. And even things like learning rock vocals or pop singing wasn't a thing. It was like if you wanted to learn to sing, especially over in England at the time, it was learn the Royal School of Music curriculum, and there you go. That's it. That's all. So made me kind of crazy, really frustrated. But anyway, off I went trying my own thing and started to learn to play guitar, started to I kept working on my piano and kept writing and trying to meet people who enjoyed the same things. And there we are. I begged for some singing lessons when I got older and was out of school in the Royal School of Music thing. And my mum told me this thing, and I'm not sure if it was her making an excuse to not being able to afford lessons or whether it was kind of an urban legend that you shouldn't start singing until your voice has developed to a certain point. But the way that I was singing without instruction, in my opinion, was kind of dangerous because I had a powerful voice. And as a sort of 10, 12, 13-year-old girl, I was belting the living daylights out of it. And without any guidance, I would sing for, 2-3 hours and then really feel it. And that was unhealthy. But anyway, my mum's excuse was, your voice isn't properly developed, so it's not time yet to go for singing lessons. But finally she broke. She got me into some private vocal lessons, which, again, it was just a really repetitive thing that wasn't inspiring creativity, didn't launch me into the dream world that I was really hoping and waiting for. And I, just kept plugging on, kept looking. So then I found, when I got to 18, the Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts. So thank you, Sir Paul McCartney, who is a true rock and roller, said, you know what, there isn't anything for people to learn rock and roll and screaming and shouting and all that fun stuff. So he started the Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts, obviously up in Liverpool. And I went there for a summer school, and it was like, the gates opened, and it was like, this is what I've been dreaming for my whole life. It was insane, like recording studios everywhere, wall-to-wall instruments, just music, musicians, creativity. It was just a beautiful experience, and it changed my life entirely. I met, again, some really incredible people there who I am, again, still friends with to this day. Just creative, fun, great musicians. And it led me, I made friends with a girl who was doing audio production on this course that I was on. She was from Calgary in Canada, and we became such good friends that over time she'd come visit me in England, I'd come visit her in Calgary, and the rest is kind of history. So that's how the Canada connection happened. And then I went off to do a trip to the United States where I was working, teaching singing at summer camps. And that was a really fun experience. That was my first official teaching job, I'd say. I was 18. I was working at the summer camp, helping prepare all of the camp's performances in their musical theatre department. And it was so much fun. And then after that, I discovered Alanis Morissette and Jewel, thanks to being overseas there for that moment, and became obsessed. I was like, yeah, I want to write songs like that. I want to play guitar like that. I want to do all of these things. And as luck would have it, that was the very same time that I got accepted into LMS, the London Music School. Now, that was basically the London version of the Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts, it was very much rock and roll based. It was all about learning commercial music, contemporary styles, things that were not structured and graded like the Royal School of Music. You learned, a lot of theory, a lot of technique, different styles. Like, it was really cool. Like, some days we'd be learning soul, some days we'd be learning rock, some days we'd be learning salsa, or like completely random styles of music. But you'd find your focus, and we worked in bands together. So we were all put in a band from day one, and we wrote and we recorded and we sang and we learned and we played together. And homework assignments were things like, go get a gig this week and go play a gig, or learn how to find your footing in the music industry. So it was really fantastic experience. It was so much fun just exploring the industry with a bunch of other brand new musicians, but also incredibly talented people. And the staff there were great, really encouraging, and nothing was out of bounds. You could try anything. So some really great talent has come out of that place, and pretty much everyone that I met on that course is still to this day working as a successful musician. So that says a lot. Like, so many people will start a dream at that age and be like, yeah, I'm going to be a rock star or whatever, and just end up working in HR somewhere. So I'm really proud of everyone who is in my course, and really happy that everyone is actually following their dreams and doing what they set out to do quite a long time ago. So it takes a lot, and it takes a lot of commitment, because it's a tough industry, as we will learn throughout the discussions in this podcast. So yeah, I really found my musical footing at the London Music School, found some really solid musical friends to collaborate with, to grow with as a musician, to learn from. Understanding the art of jamming was huge. You don't just sit in a room and it just happens. You have to know not necessarily the theoretical language, but the way to interact in that situation, to listen, to step back and know when it's your turn to step up to the mic, or know when it's your time to really go for it, or just, a lot of coordination, eye contact, how to work within a group of musicians without saying anything, just learning the communication of the musical world. And just that, I remember we spent a bunch of time learning the art of effectively jamming. So that's something as well that we'll talk about in the podcast. If you're looking to join a group of people, start playing, start singing, but you're a bit nervous about how to do it, there are some tips that will make you look like a real pro in a room of people who are just picking up their instruments and hoping for the best. So there are ways around it to make it a much smoother process and make it much more beneficial for everyone in the room. So these are all the little things that we learned at LMS that helped take us to the next level as musicians. So I absolutely loved it there. And after graduation, I was asked to teach their adult group course, which was something that was so much fun. I was terrified. I was like, what, me? I literally just graduated. I can't be teaching people. But I soon realized that the things that I'd learned over that time, I can really help beginners and get them singing and building their confidence. And that's a skill that I've honed ever since then. And I still do to this day, the beginner group courses and workshops and retreats. And I love it. I'm so passionate about helping people who are maybe a little bit older and have always thought, I've always wanted to do it. No, maybe I'm too old now. Maybe it's too late, or I'm not very good, or have all of these doubts. And I love it when people are brave enough to pick up the phone or send an email and say, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. And they contact me and they do it, and I can help them to get where they want to be with their voice and show them, no, it's not too late. Yes, you can do it. And are you enjoying it? And if so, keep doing it. Like, music is something that you're never too old for music. It's never too late to start. And if it's something that you love and enjoy, go for it. So the adult beginner courses that I started teaching way back in 1998, I believe, was when I graduated then, I think, are something that I've really honed and that I still love doing now, and have courses and some great friends who have been through these courses with me who are now loving their singing directions, what they're doing with their voices now, and just whether it's just for fun or whether they've taken it in a more professional direction. It's just so much fun, and I love that. So thank you, London Music School, for giving me that opportunity. And after that too, I had some of the teachers there and the coaches would reach out to me and be like, hey, we've got this last minute gig. The singer fell through. Can you come and help us out and do a gig here or a gig there? And started doing some corporate events and gigging and weddings and all of that kind of stuff. And then that started to become my main income. So I was teaching during the day and gigging during the night, and it was pretty much a dream life, and I totally took it for granted because it just happened straight after music school. It was phenomenal. I was very blessed and learned a heck of a lot. If any of you are in function bands or play corporate gigs, it's hard work. The payoff can be very rewarding, but it's, you got to be a real people pleaser. You got to be on fire the second that you step in the room, and it's hard work, and it's very demanding, and it's not always the kind of music you want to be singing, but it's a really fun way to stay involved in the industry and make an income and be doing music as opposed to something else. So it's a really good route to take if you do want to find your footing, meet some incredibly talented musicians, because it does take a lot of skill for the musicians in the band. Like as a singer, you sing along to those party songs all your life, but as a musician, you'll get the opportunity to work with some really cool people if you end up taking that route. So highly recommend that. Sorry, a bit of a segue there, but yeah, so I went on to doing the corporate world, the weddings, the function stuff, and it was great. Then I came back to my friend Sue in Canada, and life took a bit of a detour, and I ended up just moving to Canada, and ended up strangely, and I've been really, really lucky. I don't want to I'm very, very grateful. I have been incredibly lucky. I've knocked on a heck of a lot of doors, and thankfully the right ones have opened. So I got to Canada, and it was recommended that I check out working in radio for some reason. They're like, well, your accent's different, so you might be able to get your foot in the door doing some stuff for radio. I was like, no, that's crazy. Like, I'll never be able to get on the radio. That's nuts. So anyways, sent out a few emails and completely, okay, this is a big confession, I'm sorry, made up a demo. So basically what I did was I recorded this whole demo of me voicing things for like commercials for TV networks, like pretending I was introducing the shows, like, oh, Sex and the City's coming up next and blah, 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 or L'Oreal shampoo is great. Just totally made up these terrible commercials. And so when I came to Canada, no one knew who the heck I was or what I'd done or anything. And I was like, here's my demo reel. And it was like, she's worked for all of these massive brands and these TV stations and voiced movie promos and stuff. So everyone's like, yeah, great, she knows what she's doing. And I landed a gig at a radio station here in Calgary thanks to that. Actually, first I was voicing splitters and the little kind of, you're listening to this radio station, blah, blah, blah. And then anyway, I landed an actual job working at one of the stations here, and it was amazing. It was a totally life-changing existence. I went from my interview the first day to the second day I was out on location talking to people at gas stations about the price of gas or something, and I was like, what? They're using this on the radio? And then suddenly I was on the radio, and then like a week later I was taught how to work the equipment and record voiceovers and stuff and record voice tracking for in between the songs, and ended up doing the overnight shift right away. So it was really, really strange. It all fell into place. I really, really loved it. The people were the perfect kind of crazy. We had a really cool little radio family there for a while, and it was nuts and it was great, and I learned a ton, and it was a fantastic way to also get to know the city that I had moved to, which was Calgary. And I ended up moving from doing sort of more of the on-air stuff over to promotions and marketing. So that was a really fun way as well to meet people, learn about the city, and do all of that. So time passed by. I think I spent about 7 years in radio at various places. And then things started to take a turn. I kind of worked my way through all the different areas of the industry. I'd not reached like high levels of anything. I wasn't like a a household name or anything like that, but I'd gotten a taste for every sort of different department, like the promotions, the marketing. Worked a lot with the sales team. I worked a lot with the on-air people, doing all the events and stuff. So I got a really good feel for the industry, really enjoyed it. And then it kind of got time to move on. I was starting to get bored. I'd moved on to a different radio station, didn't really enjoy it there. It wasn't the same as the one I was at before, and was kind of getting ready to leave, hand in my notice, and was really terrified because I had a mortgage. I was like, I've got responsibilities, commitments, everything, so I've got to stick it out. And then a blessing from above happened. They called me in. They were like, Emma, it's not working out. We're going to have to let you go. And I was just like, okay. I was fighting with myself for the last few weeks, months, whatever, about, being responsible and not quitting and not giving up. And now you're telling me to take the path that I have wanted to take. It was perfect. They went to walk me out and pack up my office because in the radio industry, you can't hang about. It's a bit too fragile. So my boss came to help me pack up, and he was like, whoa. I was like, yeah, it's all pretty much in this box here because I've been ready to go for a while. So no, it was perfect. I had some money to survive on and get going and sit back for a little while. So took my time, started thinking about, I want to get back to music. I want to get back to teaching. I want to start my own school. I want to start singing and dance programs for younger kids and just all of this creative stuff. So I started planning, writing down ideas, formatting rough business plans, and just daydreaming and hustling to try and put this plan on paper, make it a reality. So I did that for a while, and then I started doing a little bit of marketing work for another company. And then my mum, who had been sick for quite some time, she finally passed away. And I say finally, it wasn't quite Monty Python-esque, and this is very dark of me. I have a very dark sense of humor. I inherited that from my father. But literally, my mother had been very sick for very long, and she had been in and out of comas like you wouldn't believe. And she would pop back, like, not quite like the Monty Python scenes where they're like, I got better, but we'd all be sat there ready to say goodbye. And then 2 months later, there she is with a glass of wine in her hand and hanging out with everyone and being herself. And that happened a couple of times. And then obviously it did get her in the end, and she passed away. So at that point, my focus on the, life is short. My focus came really clear. I gave up messing around with the smaller things and honed in on my dreams, my goals, my focus, and really wanted to make my mum proud. So that was it. High gear, stepped up. Let's do this. Let's start the studio. Let's make it happen. And I'm kind of sad that I didn't do that while she was alive, because I would have loved her to have seen where we're at right now with the studio. But, sometimes you need that push to make the right things happen. So thanks, Mum, for encouraging me to be a creative lunatic. And here we are because of your support for that. So I hustled. I really wanted to make her proud and started the studio. And I threw some ads on Kijiji. I didn't really have a very good teaching space. And within a couple of days, I had people emailing saying, yeah, we really want lessons. We really, we're interested in your approach. This is very different. What can you offer? When can we start? And then within a few months, I had enough students to be like, this is my day job. This is what I do. And really begin to dig into building curriculums and planning courses and workshops and just helping different clients reach their different goals, because I have students of all different ages, all different levels, and I just love the challenges that every day brings with that. So just really digging into that was my dream, and it was really hard to get my head around the fact that, wow, this is happening. So follow your dreams, kids. It started happening. It really took off. And then I started to get to a point where I was like, okay, I know I'm a good teacher. I know what I'm doing is helping people. I know that I can, help people reach their goals with their vocals and coach them in the right way. But I'm starting to get a bit bored myself. So I started looking around, not just in my area, but globally. And one night I was watching Rock of Ages, I want to say, with Juliana Hough and Tom Cruise and all those guys. And it was on TV, and I was like, Tom Cruise can sing? I was like, no. And I was like, he can really sing. And then I thought, who on earth taught him to do that? And literally before the movie had ended, I had Googled and researched who the vocal coach was on that movie and found Ron Anderson, who is a legend. And he works with Alicia Keys, and just there's too many to mention. But by the time that movie had ended, I'd reached out to him. I was like, I need to meet you. I want to learn from you, and just please let me be in the same space as you. So we ended up meeting. I went out to LA and spent some time studying with him, which was amazing, incredible, the value that I took away from that. And then I didn't stop there. I was like, you know what? I want to go to Nashville now. I'm going to meet Brett Manning, who does the singing success programs, and meet his team and see what I can do learning there, see what I can take away from that, and just experiencing how other coaches are doing it, experiencing, what do their studios look like? What's the feel? What's the vibe? What's really cool? What's going on that I can either be a part of or learn from? And just spent some time traveling around, learning from other coaches and experiencing their ways of teaching and improving my personal skills as a coach. So that was incredible and so much fun too. And then I met the lovely Tamara Beatty, who is based out of Calgary, actually. And that's very strange to me, that someone who I really admire as a coach. I love her techniques. I love her approach. I love everything about how she does what she does. And she's like in the same city as me, which is really crazy. So I'm like, Kate, contacted her and did some training with her, and she's just phenomenal. So been very lucky to work with and meet some really inspirational mentor style coaches and travel around. And it's not a bad thing if you're like, oh, I've got to go to Nashville to do some learning. So yeah, I took advantage of all of those experiences and had a really, really great time. So I always encourage learning. I will never stop learning. If I ever get the opportunity to learn more, to travel, to go see things and improve my skills and become more valuable to my clients, I will do that in a heartbeat. So never sit still, never think you've got it and everything's there. Just keep going, keep learning, keep trying, and it's fun too. Make it fun. Go do some travel, go do some fun stuff. So that happened. I did some traveling, learning, all of that, and then my musical, I'm not sure what the word to describe it is, but the man who introduced me to music, the one who put it all in front of me, said he didn't want me to become a musician and didn't want me involved in the industry because it's dangerous and scary and there's nasty people. But he also showed me the beauty of music and the reason, like the way to express how you feel, how to let that stuff out. So yeah, that would be my dad. He just showed me everything there was to know about music without ever sitting me down and teaching me anything. He was far too impatient for that. He never wanted to spend time teaching me to do anything. but he would sit down and he would show it to me. So yeah, just as things were I was getting over my mum, then my dad suddenly passed away, which was a bit of a shocker. I came out of the blue, and suddenly my musical mentor was gone. My best friend, who was completely insane, not in a clinical way, but he was a loony, and he was funny, and he had a really dark sense of humor, and I miss him so much. But he passed away, and then again, it was tragic, but a huge kick in the butt to continue doing something worthwhile and to continue bringing music to other people the way that he did to me, but I would actually take the time to teach them things and show them things. I remember one time I wanted to learn how to play Maybe I'm Amazed by Paul McCartney, and he was like, "Oh, I'll show you." And I was like, "What? You're going to actually show me?" So we went down to the studio. He sat at he had a stunning big grand piano, and he sat down and he sat me next to him, and he was like, "This is how you do it, Em." And he just played it and walked off. I was like, okay then, thanks tips. So yeah, I'll never forget that moment, but just watching him do that, I will never forget him playing it and how beautiful it was, and just knowing, you know what, if he's not going to teach me, I want to be able to do that. So off I went to learn more things. So he always inspired me to do things for myself. So I did, and here I am with Rockit Vocal Studios. I've built this company myself from the ground up, and I love every minute of what I do, and having the pleasure to meet different people every day and help them realize the potential in their voices, no matter what level they're at, what age they are, what they think they can do versus what we can get them doing. And it's my passion, my joy, and sharing all of my experiences from the past and helping people become better at what they want to become better at. So really, really excited. I really wanted to just share a little bit of my backstory, why I'm obsessed with music, why I'm obsessed with teaching people. And it's only just now talking about it that maybe there is some psychological thing there. The fact that my dad was so good and never took the time to sit down and teach me, that I'm so passionate about taking that time and helping people understand and being able to do what they love hearing other people do or experiencing. So yeah, really passionate about it, really want to share that with everybody. And here I am today with episode 1 of the podcast. It's a long one. It's all about me, but I figured it's only right to explain who I am, why I'm here, and why I feel I can offer you something of value. So this is very much just a personal story and an intro as to who I am versus what I'm going to offer you. I'm going to be throwing a ton of stuff your way that is technique based, that is going to keep you learning, keep you wanting to learn, stop anyone feeling defeat or feel shy or feel blocked by any confidence issues. And also, again, have lots of motivational guests who can share their past stories, share their goals, share their dreams, and help you along your way too. So thank you so much for listening. I hope I didn't ramble on too much, but I hope that you'll get to know me a bit better from this, and also along the way through the Rock Your Voice podcast. Thank you so much, and I can't wait to see you again next time with some more technique driven content. See you soon.